And hello everybody, I'm back again. We are going to be running through adventure number 3. The adventure number 2 was my last video. It was not successful, the one I posted on YouTube, but I didn't want to have to run through the whole mission again just to get the win, so I played that one off the screen, and I was able to win it. I actually played that last night and was able to get through. I just kind of skirted around. If you remember the map, but I was kind of skirted around the troll because he was just presenting too much of an issue, and there was a timer that I had to get to the door to get that open. So I really just kind of ran all the way around the map. Let's see if I can show it here real quick. Just have my little camera set up here, but I don't know if I just knocked it. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, what I did on the last mission was, instead of confronting the troll coming through here, when I opened the door, actually would have been through here. Instead of confronting the troll, what I did was I just came down here and took the long route, opened the door, and then kind of fought some enemies in here. Kind of got stopped up right there, but I finally was able to make it to that door. I think the Overlord still had about 3 cards left, so I was finally able to finish that mission. So that allows me to go ahead and move on to mission or adventure number 3. So I got everything set up here on the board, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the flavor text, and then I'll talk about what's on the board here. So, as they enter the crypt, a chill passed through Orloff. Superstition hadn't held him in its grips for many years, but he couldn't help but wonder as to the significance. The room was dominated by a huge stone pillar, inscribed with runes that seemed to dance as he looked upon them. Other marks seemed to have been crudely scored into the stone, and these brought a wave of nausea up his throat when his eyes drifted upon them. Beside him, Madriga hissed a bitter curse in the tongue of her people and spat on the floor. He defiles the Guardian. Denor looked at her, and Orloff noticed the green cast to the mage's face. He bound her to this place. She can't leave the crypt. The elf was already striding towards one of the side passages, back ramrod straight and anger radiating from her. There's only one way he could have done that, and I'm going to do the very same thing to him when I find his worthless hide. Mortibris felt the quickening as the restless spirit El Shara awakened, the link between them twanging with resonance like a fishing line with a catch. So they had made it to the crypt. He allowed himself a smile, then let them try and deal with the Banshee. She would be their doom. Alright, so we already have everything set up as far as our heroes and what they're going to be using. Rorden has the tough card. Orloff is going to be using Frenzy, has a 1 haste potion. Madriga, the elf, has the spider silk armor and Sure Shot. Denor the wizard has the Magister card, 3 power 1 energy crystals, and 1 power 2 energy crystal. Also the spells is Flame Bolts, Break Ward, Burn, Feet of Stone, Brisk Work, Crystallize, and Corrode. The timer for the Overlord is a little bit higher. It's 13 this time. The Overlord, as in for the adventure scenario, gets 1 command per turn. Has raised dead limits of 4 warriors and 2 archers. We now have a enemy hero on the board, and that is El Shara, and she's got 3 spells available: Banshee Wail, Faithful in Death, and Shriek. Now what's interesting about her, she doesn't have any combat dice for armor, but she has the Ethereal ability. It basically says this is an apparition and it cannot be hurt by any form of attack, has no arcs, it can move through other models, and can move through and other models can move through it as long as both models do not end up in the same space. It does block line of sight. It can walk through walls as well. It can't end its turn in a wall, but it can go in a straight line through them. So we have her, and we move over here, so this kind of shows our map layout. So we know we have the 4 rooms that we need to get into. The objective is to lay El Shara to rest by combining the pieces of her heart from the 4 locked chests. So we actually have to gain entrance to each 4 of these rooms to get into the chests that are in here. All while she's going to be in the middle room here. She's actually right here. and she's going to be, I guess, using her spells among other things, and the ghosts that I'm going to have to fight will be in there as well. So, all right, we'll go ahead and get this started, and we'll see how far we can get. Hopefully, we can finish this one out today. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll see how it goes. I won't want to kind of go over one thing. I've been having some struggles with these Invisible Overlord cards, and just, I've played Overlord, I've played Descent, and sometimes the choices that these cards want to have you do, it seems kind of counterintuitive to actually what I would do as an Overlord. And playing as a solo game, you're still making a lot of decisions for the Overlord. So I kind of had to take a step back from it because I was getting a little discouraged when I was using these, because a lot of decisions didn't seem to make sense, and some of them I had a hard time with them. So I've kind of backed off from using them to their full extent when I'm playing this, and I've kind of basically come to the notion of, I'm going to play the cards like I should by the rules, but I'm really, the threat and the order are the ones that I have the most problem with. And what I'm going to do is my default is going to be, if a model can attack, it's going to attack. It's going to get the closest one they can, or even inflict the most damage it can on a turn. So if it can get to, like a spellcaster or the ranger on a turn, then it's going to do that, because that's what I would do as an Overlord. If it has no choices, if it just wants to raise the dead, then that's what it's going to do. So I'm going to kind of see, these may not be holding to the strictest rules of the Invisible Overlord cards, but I'm going to kind of go through maybe this adventure and the next one and kind of see how they play with just taking a more logistical approach to the cards. In my opinion, maybe just play how I would think the Overlord would play, or how I would play if I was the Overlord. So before you hop on and say I got a ton of the rules wrong, I'm purposefully going to be ignoring the the threat and the order on the cards to a degree. Just going to do what I think makes the most sense, because I was kind of getting to a point where I didn't really like using the Invisible Overlord cards. It was making my game just tedious and drag on because decisions were just all over the place. So I want to enjoy the game. I want to keep playing it. I don't want to get tired of it. So I'm going to kind of change things up a little bit. We'll see how it works for this one. Everything else I'm going to keep the same. I'm going to use the Overlord deck here as the timer. I'm going to first, so I have the 13 cards it said to use for the adventure, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the 3, because that's the first hand the Overlord draws. And then we have our 10. This is 10 cards that the Overlord has, so he's got 10 turns to basically, what is it called? Cripple a hero. Okay, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and start the turns. We have our heroes up here, and the first thing I want to do is, I know that bone pile is sitting there, and I definitely want to get to one of these doors. I think what I might do is I might have my ranger, which can move a total of 8 spaces. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I will have the ranger go here. And the ranger's going to, there's nothing else for it to do, but I don't want that bone pile to raise, so I'm going to go ahead and end the turn for the ranger. And flip over my first Invisible Overlord card. It is not an interrupt, so we're going to go ahead and carry on. I'm going to try to open up this first door, which has a ward of 3. I don't think I can get my spellcaster over there, which is 7. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would still have another turn before I could open up that one. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get this door and get this one open and start the process before she starts to act. So I'll move the barbarian. Can I move him? Let me see if I can get him. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can do that. So I'm going to try him first, just in case we get a... Or do I want to use this one? Make sure I get that door open. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this is his facing right here. Okay. So He's going to go ahead and attack the door, and he'll get his 5 dice. And the door gets 3 dice, and it has an armor of 3. And hopefully my rolls this time will not be pathetic like they were last time. Alright. Okay, well, it looks like they already are starting that way. So these 3 and 2 ones are just actually all but 1 are discarded. The door rolled 2 5s, so it blocked my attack. Yeah, it's already starting to feel that way. Alright, so the barbarian is finished. The next card is an interrupt. So we interrupt with 1 model, and there's only one thing that can be done. We can interrupt with her, or we can raise a bone pile. And like I said, if I were the Overlord, I'd probably want to go ahead and I would probably want to raise a bone pile, or maybe I would even make a spell. Because I have that, I can do either of those right now. Maybe I can get more, because if I use her, then I won't be able to use one of these during the turn. Or can I? Well, I can. I could go ahead and raise a ghost and put that one out there, but that is a major spell. Place a single ghost model on any empty square within range. Line of sight required. Okay. So I'm going to have her do that. I'm going to go ahead and use, I'm going to activate so she can use one of her spells for the interrupt, and she's going to place a ghost model. Probably, since the threat is unarmored weakest, so would really want to go for that ranger, because she does have a chance of bringing that one down. So short range. Okay, we can bring it up to here because I don't want to put it in the front arc because that would be a free strike. So I'm going to leave it right there for the elf to have to deal with. So that's all that it's going to be it can do on its summon. Okay. So it's basically like raising a bone pile. May not be used in the front arc. Okay. Alright, so that's going to be the interrupt for Elshara. So we're going to go ahead and move back to the heroes. I really want that door open, but now we have a ghost to deal with. So I'm going to throw up, I'm going to activate the wizard. And I want to use, I don't want to use this one. I could use burn. It's a major spell. Will require short range, so I can get myself here, but that will block me in. I don't want to block him in for the turn. Could go right here. Okay, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. Arcs, and then I'm going to go ahead and use burn. Now the ghosts are 3 movement, they have 3 dice and 5 armor. So these are incredibly hard to deal with. So with that, I'm already raising a ghost. I'm going to use burn, and then I'm also going to use a power 2 energy crystal. So I'm going to go ahead and burn that. So burn is a major stone, goes upside down. Now I get 4 for the burn spell plus 2 for the power crystal I used. The ghost gets 3 dice, and they have an armor of 5. Man, I don't think I can hit that at all. I rolled decent. The ghost rolled 4, a 2, and a 2. And so the 2 and 3 that I rolled are discarded. I rolled 2 6s, 3 6s, and a 5. So all those, actually the 5 would be discarded, but the 3 6s came through, and even a single hit on a ghost is going to remove them all from the board. Alright, and so that was the wizard's turn, which was good. Now we flip our next card. It is not an interrupt, so we'll go ahead and continue on. And I'm going to have the dwarf here. He's going to move and try to help Orloff break that door down. So 1, 2, 3, 4. He's now adjacent to the door. He will roll his keys. That's tough. It's not going to help us on. That's not helps out. So he's going to get 4 dice. The door gets 3. And we ignore anything that's 3 and under. Okay, he got 1 roll of a 6, but the door defeated that one easily. And now we've done all of our heroes' turns. So now we're going to move into the Overlord turn. And for that, they're going to get 2 cards. First one is they're going to act with only 1 model because the adventure calls for only 1 activation. And the command is to attack. So we know the ghost can't attack. The ghost can summon. So I think the default, we should probably go ahead and, since we've already used up a spell for her, let's see, Shriek is target suffers a 5 dice magical attack. Okay, so that would be a good one to use. So we could use this one to keep moving this camera accidentally. I don't know if it's still focused on it. I apologize if it ain't. So no line of sight required. Maybe using the front arc. So we'll go ahead. She's going to attack. She's going to use a Shriek, and she'll use it on the ranger. Since, again, that's exactly what I would do. She does have line of sight, so she's good. So 5 dice attack on my ranger, and the ranger gets a measly 3 for this. And we'll ignore anything which is of a 2 or 1. Alright, so 2 and 1. So they rolled a 6, 5, and a 3. I rolled a 6, a 5, and a 3. Holy crap. So I finally got 1. Okay. So that was her Shriek. That's going to end that card. So we put that here. And our next one is going to be with 1 model that we're using, and it's also going to be to attack. Can't carry out since she's already activated, so we're going to go ahead and raise a bone pile. And we're going to go 1, 2, 3 is an archer, and 4, 5, 6 is the warrior. Okay, so it's going to be an archer. We'll raise it right here. Facing this way. Alright, so this is going to conclude the first Overlord turn. And then we'll go ahead and flip the 1 card over for that. And we'll proceed on with our turns. So we want to get that door open, and I feel like this time should do it. I hope this time should do it. Okay. I forgot to put some enemies in those rooms. Hold on. Yeah, I forgot to put 2. This is going to be 2 warriors here. This is a warrior, and this is a warrior. Okay, that looks a little better. Alright. Now what we need to do is figure out who's going to act first. Probably Orloff, since he's going to have the 5 combat dice, and I need to get that door open. I spend so much time on doors. Alright, so 5 dice. The door gets 3. Okay, so we have a 6, 5, a 4, and a 4. The 3 is discarded. We rolled a 4, 3, and a 3, so we know we just got 1 hit in. So that go ahead and takes this away. 1 hit on the door will be sufficient to break it. Alright, so that finishes. Flip this over. That finishes Orloff's turn. So now we flip our first Overlord card. That is a non-interrupt, so we proceed forward. This treasure chest has a ward of 2, so we know we need a warrior to break it down. So I'd like to try to get rid of this guy before we proceed on, but then I also know I have an archer to deal with if we get an interrupt somewhere. Choices, choices, choices. All right, I'm going to go ahead and activate my archer, and I'm going to shoot this archer here. So I don't like him being on the board. So 4 for me, 2 for the archer, and we ignore anything that is a 1. Okay, I got a 5, a 4, a 3, and a 2. The archer got a 4 and a 2, but everything came in, so this archer is completely gone. Okay, so that finishes the archer. And then we flip our next card over, and it is an interrupt. We interrupt with 1 model, and they're looking to go after the marksman or wounded. So we can either, we got, this one can't do anything. It can only attack one of the guys here. Otherwise, it would be raising a skeleton or raising raising a ghost or raising a skeleton from the bone pile. So I would probably say that if nothing can attack, we can either throw this one into attack with Orloff, but that's such a bad thing to do because that's going to put him in the front arc of both of those, which is already out. And I guess it's not because he's already at the weakest he can be. Actually, no, he can go down to 1 armor, so that would really be the worst choice if I was the Overlord to play that move. So I think the only other one I want to do, sorry, these actually need to refresh. So the only thing available to her is Banshee Wall, which is roll 1 dice for each enemy model in range, so this really doesn't even have an effect. Alright, so if she can't do anything on the attack, it's not a good move for him. I'm going to try to put another model on the board with the raised bone pile. And again, 1, 2, 3 is our archer, 4, 5, 6 is warrior. Okay. Alright, so that's going to finish that interrupt card out. And then we proceed. We have both the dwarf and the wizard. I think what I want to have the wizard do is this burn needs to be rotated up 45 from the last turn. This flame bolt, but requires line of sight. Brisk work. His friendly target may be immediately moved 2 squares, even if he's already had their turn. Oh, I could use that. I need to remember that. I don't see anything that I can get without line of sight on that one. So the only option I have was to get in there and break that door. So 1, 2, 6. I'm going to move here. I'm going to cast Break Ward, which is a minor spell. And it's going to open up this door. So it only had 1 ward on it. And then for my final... Actually, for a Magister, if the hero decides to cast minor spells, then he may cast 3 different spells in a single turn rather than 2. So Break Ward was a minor spell. I want to also play a minor spell with Crystallize, which is roll a dice and see what kind of power energy crystal I generate. Roll 5. That is a power 2. So I will get my power 2 energy crystal back. And I can do another minor spell, which is Brisk Work. Brisk Work is friendly target may immediately move up to 2 space squares even if they have already had their turn. Normal movement rules apply. They may break away as normal. They do not fight if they move adjacent to an enemy model. Okay. Who's already... I need to probably go with somebody who's already had a turn, otherwise moving them just seems kind of useless. Unless this one, when I move him next time, I really want him there for the, maybe not, maybe I don't have anything I want. I guess I could just use the Flame Bolt. That would be my next minor. And that one would be a 2 dice magical attack. But I also want to use my Power 2 Energy Crystal to make that 4 dice attack. So I'll do 4 dice to the Skeleton Warrior, 2. ignoring anything that's a 2 and 1. So 2 are out, 4 and 5. He blocked with a 5 and 5. So that kind of sucked for wasting an energy crystal, but that's going to be his total turn. So we're going to go ahead and flip him done. The next card is a non-interrupt. So we have our final person, which is the which is going to be the dwarf. If I act with the dwarf, then it kind of blocks him in. The dwarf can move 6, 5, 6. I could move him over here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Put myself right in front of him, and then I'm going to go ahead and attack. I'm going to just use my 4 dice, 2 for the warrior, ignoring 2s and 1s. Okay, so he rolled okay. I rolled a 6, a 6, a 4, and a 4. He rolled a 5 and a 5, but my 2 6s beat him, so that means 4 hits came in. So he's going to be taken off the board. It's going to finish Warden's turn out, so all my heroes have activated. So now we're going to flip the first of the 2 Overlord cards, which is going to use the adventure number, not the card number, so we're only acting with 1 model. And their order is going for the marksman, orders to pin, but again, if we're only acting with 1 model, she still can't raise any ghosts, she can't shriek, she can't use Banshee Wail, so she's out. So what's going to happen here is we're going to move 1 model to these guys. So we're going to move him to Orloff, and then have him attack. Orloff gets 5 combat dice. Skeleton gets 2. We ignore anything that's a 2 and 1 for Orloff. Okay, so they rolled a 4 and a 4. I rolled a 5 and a 5, a 2, a 4, and a 1. So that beat all of his attacks out. So that finishes this card. The next one is 1 is going to go after the spellcaster, which is perfect. And it's only 1, so we're going to move this one up here to attack my spellcaster. He's going to get his 2 combat dice. And the skeleton will get his 2 as well. The armor on him is a 1, so 1s will be ignored. Okay. And as it happens, that he rolled a 4 and a 2. And I rolled a 6 and a 5, so mine actually beat out his. So there was no damage taken on either of those. And that ends out this Overlord turn. So then we move the next card up, and they now have full access to her spells, as well as all of mine are back up and going. So we're going to return those to my hand. Okay, so we have to activate everybody, and I think this time we'll finally get something opened. But I have 2 enemies to move through.